Hello, my name is Carl Gomery, and today we are talking about culture and gender. And they plan to marry as soon as they graduate at the end of the semester. They'll be moving to his country, and although being an American is part of her identity, she wants to embrace her new culture too. Mary has asked you to help her prepare for the move by giving her some background in the gender and culture. Mary suffers from depression. Her mother is a political activist for women's rights, and her father is a successful doctor and hates to travel. Her brother and his husband have adopted 2 children, and her younger sister is a teenager. Her older sibling is transgender, and Mary plans to go to graduate school and earn her PhD. She is not planning to work, so she is told you not to cover the issue. She's excited about her marriage and new culture. Your job is to prepare for her relocating and embracing this culture. Considering the gender issues, that will be important based on Mary's background, expectations, and family. What does Mary need to know about communicate effectively in her new culture? You must avoid any cultural biases in your presentation. Share the facts about the culture with Mary. Include scholarly research, statistics, and graphics in the presentation. This is a major life change, and our goal is to prepare you. I choose the culture and research the cultural beliefs, laws, and expectations about gender. I may use a PowerPoint, Word document, or another format as approved by my instructor, and I plan to sit with Mary and review the materials, so you don't want to write an essay. You must use at least 2 scholarly reviews. Alrighty, Mary and family, this is for you. We'll be going over the background and history of the culture and anything else, what marriage is like, family concerns, and education. I know, your husband, he is of Swedish culture. Here is what Sweden looks like on a geographical scale. And here are some examples of what people look like in your husband's culture. Mary, as you prepare to relocate to Sweden, it is very important to understand that Swedish society is built on strong values of equality, independence, and social responsibility. A key cultural concept in Sweden is lagom, which emphasizes balance and moderation in all aspects of life. This cultural mindset influences how people interact, communicate, and form relationships. Gender equality is not simply encouraged in Sweden, it's a fundamental part of the country's identity, and is reflected in laws, education system, and social expectations, which I understand is a very drastic jump as how we currently stand in America, where women are still paid 89 cents to the dollar of men. We're showing that women equality is not important to our congressmen. Sweden is consistently ranked as one of the most gender-equal countries in the world. Both men and women are expected to participate equally in society, including parenting, education, and decision-making. Policies such as shared parental leave reinforce the idea that responsibility should be distributed fairly, unlike in America. This means in your marriage, you can expect strong emphasis on partnership and equality rather than traditional gender roles. In his country, you are not being forced to be the housemaker or just the person that gives birth and raises the children, where you have the option to be independent on your own and he'll take care of this. Well, that is in America. Traditionally, it is the woman. Understanding Sweden's political and historical context also is important. The country has a long history of promoting social justice and continues to address past inequalities. As an example, I had found in 2023, Sweden was required to formally acknowledge and apologize for historical discrimination against the Tornedalen minority. This reflects the country's ongoing commitment to human rights and inclusion. This is from Euronews. The broader cultural awareness will also shape how people view identity, fairness, and social responsibility. While political views are very different as they are in America, it's also important to think about marriage in itself. Marriage in Sweden feels very different from what you're used to in the United States. While marriage is legally recognized, it's not considered necessary for a committed relationship. Many couples choose to live together without getting married, and this is fully accepted socially. However, if couples do marry, the institution is based on equality and mutual respect, and same-sex marriage has been legal since 2009, which is probably wonderful to hear, knowing that you have a queer brother and a non-binary sibling. Also, it's important to look at any kind of wedding traditions that your husband may want to do from his country. Swedish wedding traditions also reflect these values, often emphasizing shared roles, community participation, and less formal ceremonies. Their symbolic customs highlight mutual partnership, this as walking down the aisle together as a couple. And they may only be accompanied by a bridesman and a best man, which is very different than traditional weddings here in America that you might have been to plenty of times, where the groom is already there with his best man, and all the bridesmaids and groomsmen walk down together, and the bride walks down at the very end after the parents and flower girls. Communication in Sweden is typically direct, honest, and respectful. People tend to say that what they mean without exaggeration, and modesty is highly valued. It is important to understand that this directness is not intended to be rude, but rather promote clarity and trust. Additionally, personal space and independence are highly respected, and relationships are generally egalitarian, meaning both individuals have equal influence. There's no power struggle dynamics to be found. Taking on those values, family life in Sweden also reflects them. Families tend to emphasize independence, and children are encouraged to become self-sufficient from a young age, where you may have had this in America depending on where you grew up. Here in Michigan, many children in certain regions of the state do grow up, quote-unquote, early to be self-sufficient. Parenting responsibilities are shared equally, and there's less hierarchy between parents and children compared to more traditional cultures. This environment supports a wide range of family structures, including same-sex couples and couples of diverse cultures. This is especially relevant when considering your own family. Your mother's activism for women's rights aligns strongly with Swedish values, as gender equality is a central part of the society. Your brother and husband and children will be widely accepted as Swedish as highly supportive of LGBTQ plus families. Your older sibling, the non-binary sibling, would also likely experience acceptance and legal recognition, as Sweden has a strong protections and inclusion policies for transgender individuals. They are considered the safest country for transgender individuals, so as if your brother were to visit or potentially move with you, threats and tensions rise between transgender people, he will be safe visiting you or even potentially living near you. Your sister would see you in an environment that promotes equality and independence. However, your father may face some challenges in adjusting, particularly due to his dislike of travel and potential differences in cultural expectations. When it comes to family visits, it's important to understand that Swedish lifestyles tend to be more modest, homes are often smaller, and visits are usually planned in advance. Guests are expected to respect routines, independence, and personal boundaries. There's also cultural preference for simplicity rather than excess. So visits may feel more low-key compared to American norms, where most people, their vacation is traveling to another state, and they're trying to do every single thing that you can in the city. Like, if someone went to go visit Sandusky, Ohio, they would go to Cedar Point, the Connected Waters Park, and other places. Or in Orlando, Disney World, Universal Orlando, all the different places. Education is another area where Sweden strongly reflects gender equality. Women are actually more likely than men to pursue higher education and even earn doctoral degrees. Data shows that women are highly represented in higher education enrollment, highlighting Sweden's success in promoting gender equality in academics. Here on this graph, you can see that in 2022, women were about over the 220,000 mark, where men were lower in the 145,000 mark. Graduate education in Sweden is also unique that PhD students are often treated as employees and may receive a salary. The system emphasizes independence, research, and collaboration rather than strict hierarchy. Finally, it is important to consider mental health, especially given your personal experiences with depression. Sweden has a strong public healthcare system that includes mental health services. There's generally less stigma around seeking help. However, research shows that mental health concerns are still significant. For example, anxiety and mental health issues have increased from recent years, with reports showing worry and anxiety rose from 31% in 2011 to 44% in 2024 among the population. Women, particularly young women around your age, report higher levels of mental health challenges. This is according to the Public Health Agency of Sweden from 2025. Additionally, broader data indicates that a significant portion of the population experience depression, anxiety, and burnout, highlighting the importance of accessible, available support systems. Statistica 2025. If you were to find yourself being more comfortable to talk about it because it is very stigmatized here in the U.S. and in Michigan. Perchance you live in the Thumb region where you are called out for having mental health disorders. Your boss, college, or even your husband's boss, if you decide truly you do not want to work in Sweden, will have an opportunity for you to receive mental health care at a significantly more affordable price than here in the U.S. The U.S. therapy costs around $200 USD, and I have found through many research a lot of places in Sweden charge at most $75 USD. It's also important to take a moment for cultural adjustment considerations. Learning how to adapt communication styles where people who speak Sweden or English in Sweden may pronunciate words or articulate their sentences different than you do. Adjustment to independence-focused culture is also very important to think about when you're doing your transition from more structural family norms. Environmental factors such as long winters are also very important, although you live in Michigan, so it's not that important. Emotional impact of relocation is one to consider you talking to your therapist for. In conclusion, Sweden offers a highly elegant and inclusive society. Gender equality is deeply embedded in social structures. Cultural norms emphasizes balance, respect, and independence. Mary, I believe you're in a well position to successfully adapt if you follow all these considerations and these. These are my references, and again, I do believe you are in high percentage to succeed. I believe in you, Mary.